Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about why heading into Chapter 16 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex and beyond, we need to have a real conversation about the inclusion of Himawari Uzumaki into the story, because the way that things are shaping up, this new generation and the war against the awakened Shinju, in particular Jura's growing awakened Shinju army, Naruto's baby girl, Himawari, she isn't going to be away from the story and going away anytime soon. And I do believe we should be expecting her back on the battlefield at some point. But the question you and I have is obviously, when should we expect her back on the battlefield? And in today's newest Naruto Explained video, I want to talk to you guys and make the case about why it needs to be sooner rather than later. Now, this might potentially be a hot take, because based on what happened with chapters 10 and 11, when they dropped, there are all these hot takes about Himawari awakening Kurama's power, and you have people feeling like they got cheated because Kurama came back to life, even though it was stated Biju always revived. You had people, when the official teaser for chapter 11 dropped, getting super pissed off that Himawari was using a Biju Dama against Jura. And even after the chapter dropped, there are all these contrarian takes that were twisting themselves into knots, trying to ignore what was literally shown on screen about Himawari's power, how well she used it, and highlighting the fact that for as good of a start as she got off to, she still had a long way to go before she could properly use the power and be a real asset in the battle against these bigger threats that are developing with the awakened Shinju. While she clearly got Jura's interest, despite him clearly holding back, she was still managing to far exceed both our expectations as the audience as well as Jura's expectations as the story's antagonist, with her impressive growth that is as equally as rewarding payoff wise as it is just the cool factor and getting to see Naruto's daughter become a shinobi, battling the big bad guy using Kurama's power. It should put a tear in your eye as a Naruto fan, considering the legacy aspect, and goosebumps on your arm, just like the official Naruto Explained plushie gives goosebumps, and it just launched on Gimme Swag's website, which I am proud to say I had an extensive hand in helping design it. It comes with a weighted and removable championship belt, which has the channel logo on it, as well as the 10-10-316 shirt, which is our required Lady 1010 meme and homage to my second favorite wrestler of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Famous for the Austin 316 promo, use my promo code Naruto Explained 15, one word, to get 15% off your order. And best of all, say we don't hit the 100 plushies order, then it is 100% fully refundable. So it is a win-win. If we hit 100 orders, then you get this cool plushie that I helped design that we spent months going over every small detail for. And if we don't hit it, then you get your money back. Either way, you have helped support the channel in more ways than you guys know. Pre-orders are now live via my link in the description box and the pinned comment, and they will be live until December 3rd. Himawari needs to be on that group that is mixing it up in the land of wind moving forward. You don't make her the target of Jura. Have him in a situation where he's mixing it up with her briefly to show that she has a talent for fighting, and then you never use her again. You don't have her training with the members of Team 10 for the last 3 years and not pay it off as another set of combat, especially where it looks like things might be shaking out in the story the way that they are. Jura is clearly a whole tier above the other awakened Shinju. Even Boruto is supposed to be killed by the guy at some point, barring some magical, mythical Muska space Jesus showing up to get Boruto a power up to allow him to fight and win against Jura, which is why I don't hold Himawari's battle against Jura against her like I've seen people doing. Put anyone else in that fight against Jura and they're losing. So I don't want to give Himawari a strike there. It is understandable. Yet, now that we have the shinobi going to the Sand Village to offer support as they attempt to figure out how to resolve the issues that are there now that Shinki has been turned into an awakened Shinju, I think you have to at least be considerate from a narrative perspective of sending her out there at some point as well. Matsuri has already gone to the land of wind looking for Boruto. She got dangerously close to finding him too. She is the one who knows where Gaara is located, and Ryu's target, it is currently Gaara. So it makes sense for her to take Ryu to that location, and you end up having the confrontation there before Ryu can ultimately consume Gaara. The reason it works for Team 10 to be sent out there as well is just look at who Matsuri's target is. It's Konoha, but she is also written saying that she has a strong attachment and a pull towards the members of Team 10. So it is a natural conclusion of Himawari replacing Nojin on that team because he is currently part of the Donut Club and he is recovering. So it makes sense to have her on the team going out there to the Sand Village, with Konoha being the one who leads that team that is going out there in order to replace Moegi. That gives you the basics in terms of team requirements. Either a Chunin leading a 3-man team or a Jonin leading a 4-man team. It would also make up for Himawari's lack of combat experience to have someone more experienced there to help her as well, especially someone as suitable as Konoha to serve as a backup role. That also makes for a natural flow when you do eventually get into the battles that are looming ahead, but it also serves as an important teacher for Himawari, which is the actual combat itself. You can do all the training drills and the sparring matches and the combat games with Team 10 that you want to, but there is no real teacher that beats combat experience that is gained in literal combat, especially for someone like Himawari, who was learning to control the power of Kurama while she was fighting, and Kurama was basically banking on her high aptitude to use his power as it being enough of a reason to be able to have faith that she could pull out the victory against Jura. But that might have been the case of setting the bar just a little bit too high. However, this would be something more reasonable, and it would give her the battle rep that she needs. You would also get a very clear scaling of Himawari from here as well. Jura was holding back, he was toying with her. Ryu, he dogged out Code, so you have the baseline there to measure her with. Matsuri, she made light work out of Gaara. All of the awakened shinju are implied to be stronger than Code, so you have a chance to start placing Himawari on a sliding scale in order to establish where she is by showcasing the combat ability while also allowing her the chance to grow through combat. Kurama's words, they were right. She has a higher aptitude and she has good instincts. Dare I say it, she has better instincts than Naruto. I know that pisses people off, but I would argue it's the truth. We saw as much when she naturally on the first try was able to use a Biju Dama, getting the perfect balance of the different chakra types that are needed for it and applying rotation in the process, all without having to enter into a Biju transformation state, as in transforming into a Biju the way that we saw Killer Bee do, or activating an avatar state like we saw with the 4 and 5 tail Shinchuriki doing the Minato one-shot when they fought against Minato and Jiraiya. There were multiple signs in that fight that Himawari had definitely grown as a combatant. She was also struggling with control in some aspects, shown by the way that she was able to release some of her power, and when she did so, it was doing things like cracking the ground, something that had her skill in handling that enormous amount of power being comparable to Naruto. That wouldn't have happened. Naruto's been shown fighting at full power even before Boruto's manga and releasing power in a way that limited the area of damage, except for when it came to certain attacks that you saw where the containment of that mass amount of chakra was beyond his skill level at that point in time. And Naruto, like Himawari, was growing through combat. Eventually, we saw some of those attacks get contained. While we have seen Konoha use his Rescind Barrier, which obviously isn't gonna do much in terms of doing anything else other than provide a support role, what we have seen is that he is good enough at picking and choosing his moments where he can serve as effective support even against a stronger enemy, and him mixing it up with Matsuri, it's gonna be something that happens at one point or another. The same with the members of Team 10. That's like a fated, destined clash. You already have Jura showing interest in Shikadai, someone who he flat out says, hey, I want to meet you again. Having him show something more impressive during those skirmishes with his cousin and Ryu, who is made up of Shinki's chakra, or his sensei Matsuri, who's made up of Moegi's chakra, it could add something extra to Jura's fascination with Shikadai. That is an open plot thread, one that I don't think is a false gun. There are so many different ways that you can play with this here to utilize Himawari for the purposes of having her grow and establish her scaling. It would also behoove the story more than just to have her off-screen training to master Kurama's power in full. But most importantly, look at the location. They're in the Land of Wind right now, and that's where all this will be going down, which means that Boruto is going to be in the area once he leaves Konoha, which is what he did at the end of the chapter. Boruto has been made aware that Himawari had Kurama's power, but he hasn't seen it so far with his own eyes. That will be new information that Koji could take in, and that cannot be understated, and that's something that we have not talked about enough. Koji's 10 directions, it's a jutsu that allows him to see every possible future, but as he told Boruto in the flashback, the future, it is never set in stone. It is always changing. Once new decisions are made, new possibilities open up, there become more potential paths, and 10 directions allows Koji to see all of those potential paths. Based on the reactions of Boruto and Koji, neither of them were even considering the possibility where Kurama was reborn inside of Himawari, which means Koji's 10 directions, it missed something, which means he'd want new information to adjust what 10 directions showed to him. Adding Boruto to that mix, it does enough to level the playing field. After you let Himawari have her moment and get her reps in, it would further allow you to yuck things up even further, because we know that Code is hunting down Boruto, and Code has shown the ability to use the awakened shinjuu against themselves by being able to spy on them, though he did get caught. So the idea of throwing Code into the mix at the worst possible time just to raise the stakes, it definitely is something that works. Narratively, it also works because the story has been keeping Boruto and Himawari apart for a while. She was unconscious for the duration of the fight with Hidari. She knows that Boruto saved her, and she has said in the past she wants to help him. This is your way to pay off all those things and start planting further seeds into Himawari's head that something isn't right, as well as address the Kurama issue, which I would venture to say there's a strong chance Kurama has retained his memories of Boruto being Naruto's kid, which would again raise the conflict even further, and it does wonders for the story. It also makes you take a deeper look at the Boruto and Jura dynamic, which to understand that from a better perspective, you want to click here to watch my Jura video essay, or click here to watch the newest video from my Anime Explained channel where I talk about non-Naruto content.